What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bring your latest in your Brooklyn Nets news. Been about 2 weeks since my last video. I'm starting doing these videos every 2 weeks, more or less because I've been very busy of late, doing other things with my life. But either way, it's been 2 weeks since the last video, and if you remember, my last video was very angry. I was really upset. The Nets had lost, what was like 4 of their last 5 games, and it was really ugly. And I said, I don't know what's going on with this team, and I said I was selling them. Well, every time I seem to doubt the Nets, they play well, and then every time I start praising the Nets, they play like crap, which seems to be the theme of this whole season. Remember, I praised the Nets at the beginning of the season. I said they can be a top 5 team in the East. I predicted them to be 3rd in the East, and they've been the exact opposite, almost the 3rd worst team in the East. And most of the season I was saying it's going to happen, they're going to start playing good, and they never did. Then I started saying this team sucks, and then they started playing well, and then I said, remember, like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I said, this team looking good, I'm buying this team, and then they go on a losing streak, and they end up being really bad. And last episode I said, this team is absolutely terrible, I'm selling this team, and now they won, 4 of their last 5 games down the stretch. Actually, maybe even more of that. Let's see. After the last NetsBoy episode, win against the Timberwolves, lost to the Cavaliers, win against the Bucks, great overtime win, win against the Pacers, loss against the Celtics, okay, so I'm actually, then win against the Hornets, win against the Celtics, and then win against 6 of their last 8 games. They're 6-8, 6-2 their last 8 games, the Nets. That's since my last NetsBoy episode. There you have it. That's fantastic. And that's what the Nets have to do. They're won 6 of their last 8 games. They're currently 32-40, tied with the Celtics for the A spot in the playoffs. However, that loss to the Celtics was crucial because the Celtics have the tiebreaker. But right now, tied with them for the A spot. And, they're playing very well. Now, can they sustain this? I don't know. They've got 10 games left of the season. Here it is. It's March 28th. No, excuse me. March 30th. Jeez. Or 29th or whatever. I do the NetsBoy episodes the day before they actually post. So it's technically the 29th, though the video will be posted the 30th. So I like to say it's March 30th. And the Nets, they played very well down the stretch. You look at the last 8 games. Obviously the one loss to the Cavaliers, that was expected. And the loss to the Celtics was frustrating because they really had a letdown on that one. But overall, beating the Celtics at home, that was great. Beating the Hornets the way they needed to. Beating the Pacers when they needed to. Beating the Bucks in double overtime, that was fantastic. The Nets were winning the games they needed to win. They've put themselves right there at playoff contention, and I want to say they should make the playoffs, but every time I start giving this team praise, they play terribly. Like I've just talked about the first 3 minutes of this video. So I don't want to say if this team's going to make the playoffs because I honestly actually don't know. The way this team plays, they may not, because here they are. They're at a high point again, but they could very well screw up and mess everything up and end up not making the playoffs. Let's be honest. That's what this team does. Whenever they're riding high, they manage to screw up and drop low. And it's just kind of been the case. And then every time that they're really, really low and you think that they're at their bottom, they get lower. But then when you count them out, they jump back up and become relevant again. So you don't know what to get from this team. This team is so confusing. But I will say this. The reason of the turnaround has been Brook Lopez. Now, I can't say anything more great about Brook Lopez these last few games. The last 6 games, or since the All-Star break, actually, we'll go through there. Since the All-Star break, he's averaging over 23 points per game and over 9 rebounds a game, as well as, I think, 2 blocks since the All-Star break. It is not a coincidence that the Nets have played so much better after the All-Star break, and Brook Lopez has been his All-Star self. I really like the 9 rebounds. He even had an 18-rebound game, I think, against the Bucks. That's fantastic. He's getting rebounds. He's scoring all around, posting up, mid-range jump shots, hook shots, rebounding, defense, block shots. He's the player we expected him to be, and he's coming through here in the second half of the season. The Nets have had, I think, what is it? They say 4 or 5 straight games of over 40 points or more in the paint. That's because Lopez is dominating. And the fact is, Lopez is this great dominant center. I've said it from day one. Oh, we should trade Brook Lopez. We got Mason Plumlee. Remember those idiots? What did NetsBoy say? NetsBoy said Plumlee is a good center, but his cap is here. His cap is here. Brook Lopez is here. You know, his talent level, his skill set, his ability is much higher than Plumlee. Why would you trade away Lopez because you have Plumlee? If anything, logically, in my head, you trade away Plumlee because you have Lopez. Or you don't trade either of them. I mean, you know, I've said it from day one. I've got a very big advocate of Brook Lopez. I've always said, when this guy's healthy, he is a top 5 center. Hell, he's a top 3 center. I'm saying it because look at him now. I don't think there's one center that's actually playing better than Brook Lopez right now. Marc Gasol, yeah, sort of. He's playing pretty well. Pau Gasol, yeah, he's around there. But I don't think anyone is dominating the way Brook Lopez has been dominating. Last 5 or 6 games, he's averaging like over 30 points and like 11 rebounds. Like, no one's dominating the way he is. And it's the reason why the Nets have won 6 of their last 8 games. They're just playing better because Lopez is playing better, which is taking less pressure off Darren, the piece of crap Williams, even though he's still inconsistent, but he's playing decently. Joe Johnson has gotten here and there. Bojan Bogdanovic has been fantastic. He's finally living up to what we've expected him to be, and I'm very happy. You know, I'm not a big Bogdanovic fan, but I tip my hat and I give him kudos for how well he's played down the stretch. You know, Thaddeus Young has been phenomenal, even though he just went down with an injury. Hopefully he'll be back soon. You know, the Nets picked up Earl Clark, which I actually like. Earl Clark has been a decent, you know, in his 2 games he's played has been kind of there. He shoots a lot and does not make it. I mean, he has this idea that he can make jump shots, and it doesn't seem like it ever happens. That Lakers game was... But, you know, the team has some confidence, and they're rolling, and it's not a coincidence that's because Brook Lopez has playing so well. That being said, there has been a lot of games, like the games against the Celtics, in which it's just Lopez. And when it's just Lopez, the Nets cannot win. The Nets need more than just Lopez. Lopez is a dominant player, but he's not a guy who can carry a team night in and night out. You know, and I think that Celtics game, Lopez might have had 30-something points, and they lost. They got blown out because no one else could do anything. I think the next highest scorer was like Bojan Bogdanovic with like 12 or something like that. Like, you can't have that if you're the Nets. Remember the equation that I always make reference to almost every Nets boy. There needs to be 3 players playing well for the Nets at all times for them to win. It's normally Brook Lopez, Joe Johnson, and Darian Williams. You can substitute one of those 3 guys with another player, like in this case, Bojan Bogdanovic can just come in and score well and play well, or Jared Jack, or it used to be Teletovic before he was out, and now it's Thaddeus Young. But the key is the Nets need to have 3 players who are playing well. What's playing well? Scoring about 20 points a game and being efficient while doing it. When, you know, and that's the key to the Nets' success. And if you look at the Nets' records when they have 3 or more players scoring 20 or more points, I'm pretty sure they're well over a 500 team when that's happening. And that's the key to the Nets' success. And now they got Brook Lopez, who's putting up 30 and 10 almost every game now. That's phenomenal. And now you just need the other 2 guys to step up. Whether it's Joe Johnson, whether it's Darren Williams, is it Bogdanovic? Is it going to be Thad Young when he comes back? Is it going to be Jared Jack? Who, you know, people have got to start stepping up. And if they can, with Lopez playing the way he is, the Nets will make the playoffs. However, if no one else steps up and it's just Lopez, the Nets will not make the playoffs. Simple as that. That's the equation. And who knows what will happen. Part of the downside with Lopez being as dominant as he is he's the focal point of the offense, which is making other players a little less involved. Like Joe Johnson had some games where he became completely irrelevant because Lopez was dominating so much. That's kind of one of those things that you got to say, it's kind of like what you're going to get when you have such a dominant player in Lopez. I mean, it's the same thing, you look at like the Bulls when Jordan was there, Pippen got his points, but, Ron Harper, he could have been a 20-point consistent scorer constantly, and hell, Pippen could have been a 30-point scorer, but Jordan was such a dominant player that they went through him. You know, Kobe with the Lakers, when he was on his A game, other players, you know, other than Shaq, other players didn't have as much offensive opportunities because Kobe was such a dominant player. You know, in Houston right now, Dwight Howard's out, James Harden is getting all these points. No one else is doing anything because he's such a dominant player. That's how it works. When you have a dominant player, you've got to play through them, and other guys need to figure it out. And I think that's kind of where the Nets are struggling because Brook Lopez has taken his game to such a high level, the rest of the team needs to start figuring out how to play with him. And I think the last few games, they've done it. You know, Joe Johnson's had a couple 16, 18, 20-point games. Gary Williams had a 17-point game. Bogdanovic had like 22. So they're figuring out how to get their offensive flow together, built around Lopez, and it's really working well for the Nets. But like I said, they need to continue it, and that's the problem. Will they? I don't know. I want to think they can, but I don't know. They are tied for the A spot right now with the Celtics. They're 32-40. They got 10 more games to go. And to me, it's a crapshoot. I don't know what they will do. I want to like I said, every time I think they're good, they go on a losing streak. Every time I think they're terrible, they go and win 6 out of their last 8 games. I really don't know what to expect from this Nets team moving forward. All I know is Brook Lopez is playing phenomenally. I'm so glad the Nets didn't trade Brook Lopez. And I think you will agree that, I mean, that would have been a terrible trade. I'm sorry. Unless they got some really good players in it. He is a top 5 center when he's not injured. It's as simple as that. And I think he's a top 3 center. Personally, I think he can be the best center, especially if he continues to get rebounds the way he is now and playing defense the way he is now. He's averaging like 3 blocks a game in the last 8 games, over 9 rebounds, 28 points or something like that. I don't think there's a single center in the league doing that right now in these span of games. So he could be the best center in the league when he plays like this. He's showing it, and sorry, Plumlee, I mean, that's the extent. I mean, that's the way that it goes. Plumlee's a good energy player. He's a good rebounder, good shot blocker, but I said it before. The level of these two players are not equal. Not. The only difference is Plumlee's been healthy his career so far, and Lopez hasn't. But like I said, who knows what will happen moving forward. But let's look at the next few games for the Nets, and we'll try to see, what they're going to be able to accomplish. They play Tuesday against the Pacers. Big game there. They are a game ahead of the Pacers. The Pacers are fading, hanging on. They're trying to get Paul George back and all that fun stuff. The Nets got to put the Pacers away. If they can win that game, they'll be in a good... I mean, they're not going to obviously clinch the playoffs, but they'll be in a good situation. They just beat the Pacers before. They've got to win that game. I think they could win that game, and they have to win that game. If they don't, Pacers, that really puts them in a bad situation. So the Nets got to take care of business. They got to beat the Pacers. I think they will. Then they got the game against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. Anytime you play the Knicks, Lakers, or 76ers, you have to win. The Knicks are just the Knicks. I mean, I don't even want to go there with them. I mean, especially with Carmelo not playing because they closed shut down for the season. I mean, that team is just, there was a little... Are we freezing? I don't know what just happened there. I don't know if you're going to notice that or not, but my camera froze for about... It did it again. I don't know. I don't know if that's actually freezing, or is it just me? Is things still recording? Or is it going to skip on the video? I guess we'll find out when I post the video. Simple as that. If it skipped, oh well. What I was basically just trying to say was the Knicks are really struggling, and the Nets have to win that game. So that's another game they got to win. Then they got a tough game against the Raptors. Tough one. They're probably going to lose that game. I hope they can win, but they're probably going to lose it. It's a tough game. Then they got the Hawks. Same thing. The Hawks, best team in the East, probably going to lose that game too. And then they got the Trailblazers after that. They're probably going to lose that game as well. So they actually could go on a 3-game losing streak after they end this good stretch of games. But who knows? They beat the Cavaliers. They have beat some good teams. They've beat the Warriors. They've beaten the Cavaliers. They can beat some good teams. They just gotta play well. So if they can steal one of those 3 games between the Raptors, Hawks, and Blazers, if they can steal one of those games and they can beat the Pacers and the Knicks, and they can go 3-2 the next 5 games, that's a very good situation for the Nets, and I will take that moving forward. Go beyond that, they got the Hawks again, the Wizards, the Bucks, the Bulls, the Magic. Not an easy stretch for the Nets. But if they can play, if they can go 6-4 the next 10 games, I think they'll be in good shape. And that's what they've got to try to do. But right now, they've got to focus on beating the Pacers, focus on beating the Knicks, and move on forward from there. Like I said, I'm not even going to predict what's going to happen with this Nets team because I can't do it. I have no idea. I'm going to hope they make the playoffs, but I can't predict it. So that being said, we'll see if there'll be another NetsBoy next week, or if I don't wait 2 more weeks again. I don't know. Just keep your eyes posted for him, okay? You know, like I said, I've been very busy these last few weeks, and I haven't been able to really be regular with these videos. But either way, keep your eyes posted. So we'll see what happens. Brook Lopez is great. Don't forget it. And this is NetsBoy signing off.